Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever it is that you're watching this. We are absolutely thrilled that you are with us. The Patterson Foundation has a long-standing relationship with Indiana University's Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. And this experiential learning through the Patterson Foundation on the future of the philanthropic sector, this is the module about inspiring philanthropy. So I do want us to note that down at the bottom of the screen that you see, we have the words CEO, board, staff, donors, and volunteers. We are approaching philanthropy in ways that foster wide participation. So who's going to share with you this afternoon, this morning, or this evening? I am pleased to share that I'm Deborah Jacobs. I'm president and CEO of the Patterson Foundation. And along with me today is a close, respected, I think you'll find inspiring colleague, Roxy Jurdy, who's the president and CEO of the Community Foundation. She's waving at you right now. So we're going to have a conversation together, but we're going to use the slides so that you have a reference point as we talk. So this fostering wide participation in inspiring philanthropy, we're using the approach of something called the giving partner. And we are all very lucky because the mom of the giving partner is Roxy Jurdy. So Roxy, would you please share what is the giving partner? Where did it come from? Just free form it. It's yours.
Well, thank you, Deborah. And just so you all know, I absolutely love working with Deborah Jacobs as a colleague and a friend. So thank you, Deborah, for allowing me to be part of this today. The Giving Partner started when I was working at the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation in Kansas City, and they were wanting to have an in-depth local understanding of the nonprofit community. Who was there? What were their boards like? How did they accomplish their mission through their programs? What was their financial stability and status? So hence, a project began with Bridgespan, the consulting firm, and funded by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation to develop this local tool. This was in 2003-04, and believe it or not, even software and creating a program like this was somewhat novel and innovative. So we worked with a local, believe it or not, ad agency that was beginning to do some online work to develop the platform. We launched it in Kansas City with our local nonprofit partners. And the key to this is they have a roadmap of what really is an effective and efficient nonprofit by the questions that they're answering. So it was really viewed as a way to also strengthen a nonprofit, because many don't even know what all they should be doing, what they should have, and what is really an effective and efficient nonprofit. So they populate the data. We were doing some verification as a staff at the Community Foundation. We launched this for our donors, but also for its two audiences, the nonprofit, their board and staff, as well as potential donors and donors who were investing in them. It really launched with great success. We called it Donor Edge. And from that, Hewlett came back and said, hey, you think this might work at other community foundations? So I led a pilot for community foundations across the country to pilot this. And we began our Donor Edge learning community. I worked with each community to really be able to customize what was the name, what worked in their community. So we developed it, we launched it, and we continued till we had 25, 30 community foundations. We then realized we're not a technology company with our ad agency. So we partnered with GuideStar to be our partner. And that really helped us take this to a new level when we were partnering with GuideStar. So fast forward, I arrived here 10 and a half years ago from Kansas City to lead the Community Foundation of Sarasota County, and our board said, well, we like that. We want to have it here. So I brought it to this community. Who do you think was the first person to raise their hand to be our partner with this? It was the Patterson Foundation and Deborah Jacobs. So we were so fortunate to garner community support with other funders who wanted to use this. Those that do traditional grant making, our friends at the Selby Foundation use it extensively. So it's kind of like a community filing cabinet as well with the data that's there. And the intent was to minimize other information a funder might ask too. It's in the giving partner. So Deborah, that was way longer than I think we had wanted.
But I think the nuances when you talked about who does it benefit, and I envision that Mrs. Gotzelot is sitting, having a tough time sleeping. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. She can go on the computer to the giving partner and put in cats, and up will come all the cat serving organizations to give her an opportunity to see who's out there, what kind of budgets, what kind of needs do they have, you know, what are their priorities. And so it's just it's a 24/7 resource for any donors. It also helps nonprofits find each other, because if they're looking to partner. So the nuances, it's a benefit for funders, for donors, and for other nonprofits and businesses who might want to engage with the nonprofit sector. And Roxy, one of the things when the giving partner first came out, it's a lot of work to keep your profile up to date. And, you know, it was the, how do we help people want to keep their profiles up to date? And that's when you started to think about, okay, we've gotten people engaged, but how do we really get them to like it while they are engaged with it? And that is where the concept of a giving challenge came about. So could you just, again, kind of walk back a little about why did we do a giving challenge?
Well, and Deborah, as you said that, what spurred me to think, the very first giving challenge, I believe, in the country was at the Columbus Foundation. And they were one of our pilot groups, and they were so innovative. They were trying to think of a way to encourage nonprofits to complete it, because it's work. And second, how could they have this carrot, if you will? You have to have your profile in and updated to participate in this day of giving. And they had such a wild success that we were even doing the back office in Kansas City. We had an avalanche. We're like, whoa, we can't do this anymore after that first one. But obviously giving days have spread across the country, and looking at the Community Foundations of Texas, I believe, has the biggest one. But it's really fun to look at how other communities have embraced the big give, the give day. So it's fun that really the giving partner donor edge spurred the first giving challenge, and how that's been embraced throughout the country.
So let's dig a little deeper. We're going to come back to this year's giving challenge, but let's go a little deeper about why does the Community Foundation want to do this? You touched a little bit about the carrot, but why don't you give it a little bit more depth on that?
When we first started it, as Deborah alluded, she did more than allude. She said that we were looking for a way to encourage participation. So we planned to do 3 of these initially until we got them all populated, if you will. But given the success, and when Deborah says what they're doing that nobody else in the country does to inspire giving, we realized we really have something here, and that's something that is so resonates with the values of our community foundation. We really believe that everyone can be a philanthropist, that everyone has the potential to impact this community and causes and profits that they care about. So the fact that it's a $25 minimum, it's online, it's virtual, it really encourages everyone to realize I can be something big, part of something bigger, has one community as well. So it empowers an individual, but collectively, I think people are really proud of what this community does on this day of giving.
I want to dive a little bit in just to help the students understand the giving partner doesn't happen for free. The Community Foundation is the host, but you invest money to have this happen. And why, again, does that, why, when you think about it, I think it's 6 figures you invest every year in both the Giving Partner and the Giving Challenge.
And, you know, Deborah, we've looked at that because there's no charge for this. We don't charge a nonprofit. We don't charge a donor. You don't even have to register to go look at the profiles. You can just go on whenever you want. We spend into the 6 figures just for the Giving Partner maintenance and update and what we pay for our software partner. And when we do the challenge, I think we've estimated up to $300,000 worth of our time and hard costs as well, that we do believe in this, and our board is committed to it. They recognize the power of as a community foundation, being able to provide this gift to the community. We also do have all the back office with the IT part of this that has a single nonprofit would be difficult to do. And we also have media community-wide. So we're able to help bring that infrastructure to really make this successful and let each nonprofit really soar by how much they put into their opportunity with the Giving Challenge.
So, so why does the Patterson Foundation participate in the Giving Challenge? Well, I'm going to go back to why we do the Giving Partner. Again, we want to foster wide participation in philanthropy, and the Giving Partner is for everyone in every organization in our region. Why do we participate in the Giving Challenge? Is TPF, that's our nickname, the Patterson Foundation. We believe in building muscles all the time. And, you know, when the first Giving Challenge came out, people said, oh, that's not strategic. It's just a money grab. It's not. It is such a strategic opportunity for nonprofits about the power in their imaginative planning and implementation to raise unrestricted funds. There's a muscle building. There's a dynamic power shift. It's not that the Patterson Foundation decides who's going to get money. It's the organizations. They can raise what they can raise. So the power is with the organizations, with the donors, but there is great planning that goes on along the way. Roxy's already said, we do believe everyone can be a philanthropist. And she also said about the reason this collective Giving Challenge, any one organization can do it. We've seen that with Giving Tuesdays. Some organizations do the crowdsourcing, but the magic of this 24-hour come together where 700 organizations are all amplified in a way, and we will talk a little bit, but the Giving Challenge, it's almost like eating a potato chip. You can't eat just one if you're donating, because you're watching that leaderboard and you go, oh, I didn't know about that organization. Maybe I will help them. So again, the one organization gets the advantage of being part of the collective whole. And we are thrilled with the amount of partnering that goes on between organizations, between nonprofits, but also between the business community. So it's really a community way to strengthen, and we think we strengthen individuals who want to donate, organizations who are raising the money in our community, because of the pride and the heartbeat of generosity is so strong here.
Deborah, picking up
I'll go back.
One of your points, one thing that really has turned out to be a skill builder for nonprofits is their digital skills. 40% of our nonprofits in our community are volunteer led. And a lot of them, this was like foreign territory for them, but we do trainings throughout the year of a Giving Challenge. Just for example, this year, preparing for the 2022 challenge, we kicked off with 2020 success stories. Who are those nonprofits, and small, medium, and large by their budget sizes? I think it's under 50 to 500, and then 500 and above are kind of the thirds. So we had one from each of the different sizes, just to show a smaller organization can have tremendous success as well as a much larger, well-resourced one. Then we had peer-to-peer fundraising, and the last one, which was wildly successful, we're building upon that. So we did a peer-to-peer fundraising. How do your supporters tap into their social networks to encourage giving? And then how to have a compelling profile. You're trying to sell yourself with your profile. So that was another training session. And leveraging the challenge. How can they really tap into the generosity of the Patterson Foundation? And we had several organizations have their own matches in addition to the Patterson match last time. So they were really amplifying the opportunities and the power of matches or capping gifts. So people were very creative with that. And then our last training in February is how to build your social media plan. So we really help boost the skill building and that muscle, if you will, for the nonprofits. And how do you learn? By doing. So we have the trainees, but they're very interactive, so they can implement these opportunities right away for the challenge, but build upon them throughout the year until we have another challenge.
So let's talk a little bit about our successes. Now, this slide says we've had 7 giving challenges since 2012. $59 million raised. TPF provided matches of 24 million of it.
Woo!
So that's a lot. And we'll talk a little bit about how TPF is unique nationally. But Roxy, I'd like you to share a little bit about why only 7 between 2012 and now. Why don't we do this every year?
Well, we started out doing it every year, and then we recognized, as much as we did not want a nonprofit to put this in their budget, and we would say, hey, there is no, I mean, there are a lot of pieces here to put this on. And we don't want, truly, how do you build upon the new donors you're getting, how you're stewarding your existing donors? And we recognized that for a nonprofit to do this every other year, that really would force them in a lot of ways. Okay, what are we going to do in the year we don't have a giving challenge that we're getting this unrestricted dollars in? But we really believed it would be a way for them to internalize and be able to really deepen their own fundraising skills and budgeting of how they do their own work. And many have found some success, they may do their own. So they've really been able to teach what they've learned, but we really did feel it was important. We're going to start doing this every other year. And at first, I think we got a little pushback, but they've recognized they really can skill build and build upon what they've learned to nurture the philanthropic giving in between giving challenges.
Well, and in the educational mode that the Community Foundation does, it's a reminder to all organizations, this is one arrow in the quiver of philanthropy. So by staggering the challenges, people have time to really focus on their annual giving plan, their major gift cultivation, their special events, as even though we try to get people not to focus on the special events, but so that again, this is one arrow. This is, for some organizations, this is a big part of their budget, but for other organizations, it might be a sliver of their budget. So we want to give people time to do a full comprehensive advancement development plan, knowing that crowdsourcing is one of it, but it shouldn't be your be all and the end all.
Deborah, and what a good point. Many that raise tremendous funds will even budget over 2 years. They won't use them all at once. I think about all the ripple effects, as Deborah said, on if I do have and even if you, what if you got a big question? What do you do with that? I mean, how do you manage the funding? Sometimes it's for a specific project, and other times they're able to budget over a couple of years, knowing it'll be 2 before we have the next challenge. So it really helped us accomplish, maybe it is in the budget, but it's much more realistic now on how they're going to utilize those funds. They've got to think ahead. And I think it's adding a discipline to them on really understanding how best to use funds when you've got a big influx like this, but you got to wait 2 years before the next one is.
Well, and again, that's that muscle building about budgeting and planning. Well, let's delve a little bit more in to just the wow factor here. All right, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of commas, so you can see that this is quite a successful endeavor in our region. Roxy, let's set a context of, we are not the New York City metropolitan area. The Giving Challenge covers a 4-county area. And I think the total population between our 4 counties is less than 1.5 million people. I think it might be a little bit more now because we keep growing, but we are not a major metropolitan area. And our 4 counties are as different as rural DeSoto County, to Sarasota County, that's the cultural and arts hub. So we've very different communities here, but together they've been able to come together. So Roxy, just high level general, when you started out with the Giving Partner, I can remember our first year, didn't we start with 100 organizations?
I've got it all right here. We had 109
Okay.
and 2.3 million raised, and we had 10,700 gifts. And Deborah, I don't remember even that year if you did the guess. As staff, we guess how much we're going to raise.
Yeah, we would always do the prognostication contest, where the staff of the Community Foundation and the staff of the Patterson Foundation would guess how much would be raised. And then just in the world of, so what's your prize if you are the winner, we give you a pay it forward award where you get to donate to one of the organizations in the Giving Partner. But when we think about the growth, about what's happened, the year 2020 in the last Giving Challenge, Roxy, how many people told you you were nuts to do a Giving Challenge as the pandemic started?
Well, and Deborah, let's all of us on Friday the 13th, I pulled our team together and said, hey, we're going remote like a lot of the world for 2 weeks, go get what you need. Well, obviously, we're still in this, and we were remote until mid-July of 2020. And then we went remote again when our numbers were skyrocketing in September and October. But let's go back to 2020. We obviously were remote when we were doing this. Another topic is Season of Sharing that we partner with the Patterson Foundation. It's a fundraising effort, and it's with the Herald Tribune and TPF, and we raise money to keep people in their homes so that they don't become homeless. So we reactivated that. So our team went remote. We reactivated Season of Sharing thanks to a generous $1 million by the Patterson Foundation, $500,000 outright, $500,000 matched. And then we were doing the Giving Challenge, which was the end of April. I did get calls from people like, no way, you got to call this off, and conferred with Deborah, and we're like, it's digital. You can do it from home. And we also recognize, because events just got wiped off the slate, and organizations were panicking. Put your energies towards your Giving Challenge. You have an opportunity in the midst of this crisis to put your energy toward something very positive, to showcase your organization, and to raise unrestricted dollars. And particularly for those that had events being canceled, it was a real rallying call for them and all of them. So even though I was fielding calls on, you're crazy, you shouldn't be doing this, and we forged forward. And wow, it was so the right decision. The most we'd raised was 13 million in a previous challenge. So to raise 19 million in this just shows you the community was ready, not only nonprofits, but as people. We were all stuck at home and we wanted to help. We were watching the food lines on TV, and people were like, what can I do? This turned out just to be such a gift, and the timing was so fortuitous.
Well, and in previous Giving Challenges, it tended to be some animal organizations that would always lead the leaderboard. And we have a little humor about the Cat Depot, but they knew how to market and use the Giving Challenge. What we saw with the 2020 is those organizations, the humanitarian organizations, particularly those in the food distribution sector, really rose to the top. Another testimony. Donors do what donors want to do and what they know about. And so I was so affirmed that it was a brilliant idea to do the giving challenge last in 2020, and it proved the results came out. Okay.
Deborah, we were so stunned, not stunned, but yet just so, it just made me realize we had a vehicle where people could give. And in past years, All Faiths Food Bank is our food bank for Sarasota and DeSoto County here. The most they had raised, which was a lot, was $180,000. They raised $620,000. And our second highest on the leaderboard was Meals on Wheels Plus of Manatee, which is the Manatee County Food Bank. They raised 300. And if you add in the Charlotte Food Bank, over $1 million came in for food. People got it. At the same time, we raised 2.7 for Season of Sharing to shelter people. We got to keep people in their homes and they got to eat. And it really showed our community understood that, and neighbors wanted to take care of their neighbor.
Well, and to the point about this is who participates in the sectors. I mean, the answer is everyone. Okay. And that's again what the value of, if you're a small organization, you're in here with the big ones and you can be amplified right along with them. But I do think that it's just, Roxy, have you got any nuggets in here that you'd like to share about the sectors?
Yes, I think, well, a couple things. The top 10, I was sharing with you, the first two were the food banks, but third was Mount Marine. People care about the ocean, they care about the environment, and they understand sea level rise and climate change are issues that our Mount Marine, world famous here, supports. Next was Florida Studio Theater. We are an arts and culture hub, followed by the infamous Cat Depot that normally is at the top of the leaderboard, but they still raised 200,000 and they came in number 5. Next was a Neuro Challenge, Foundation for Parkinson's, West Coast Black Theater Troupe. Our Black Theater organization raised almost 190,000. The Venice Theater, Community Theater. You know how the arts just shut down, so you can see the patrons of the arts as well as humane animals were all really benefiting here. So when you hear those top leaderboard, the top ones last year or in 2020, it does affirm what Deborah's saying, and people, they understood what they really cared about. A couple other nuggets I was sharing with you, the peer-to-peer using social networks, our technology platform accommodated that. We had over 1,200 individuals who did peer-to-peer fundraising, and they raised over $800,000 that way. And get this, we had over 1 million from 100 organizations in additional match money to spur giving. So we're starting to see some real trends about the power of building upon what the Patterson Foundation does. And then we have prizes. We have over $250,000-$60,000 worth of various prizes that get a lot of energy going. But a couple stories, Deborah's heard these, but they still just touch my heart. Other giving challenges, we haven't had donors call us about why they were wanting to give. They might call if I'm having trouble getting online or what have you. We have phone banks going. People still call us. But we had a donor call who had lost his wife to COVID in early April, and he so wanted to honor his wife, and he didn't quite know how to do all this. So I had the most marvelous staff member just patiently talk with him about what she cared about and to give some suggestions. And he just said it was really helping him that he could honor his wife in that way. We had another, makes me weepy every time I think of that.
It's okay.
Another donor called and she was stuck at home and she knew her neighbor, but not very well. And her neighbor was like, I love bird watching. And the neighbor is like, yeah, I'm not really interested in birds. I don't even go outside that much. But she thought, okay, I'll kind of learn a little bit. Well, she, guess what, got intrigued and is now a bird watcher. And so she called and said, how do I thank my neighbor? I never knew I would love being outside and understanding, looking for birds. So we said, hey, we have an Audubon Society. Wouldn't that be a way to honor your neighbor? So those are a couple of examples of how meaningful this giving opportunity was for people. The other thing we see, and we love this, families. They'll give a budget to their kids and say, hey, what do you care about? And as a family, they may give them $50 or $100, and they'll have their kids go on, and then they have to share, well, what did you give to and why? So it's planting the seeds of giving in a really fun way, and you're actually doing it. So you're having that conversation then about, well, why did you pick that particular organization or what have you? So the family involvement we have learned and really encouraged has been great. And then the partnerships, as Deborah alluded to, between businesses, between nonprofits and nonprofits, that's just been great. The prizes motivate some actions, and that's part of the reason the prizes are structured so that we are encouraging to work with a fellow business or another nonprofit partner. So that's been a real plus too on some of the relationships that have been forged because of a prize.
So we've got another time to do a little bit more on the prizes, but I want to just share now. So what's happening this year? Because the class is going to come, and they're going to, oh, by the way, the class, while you're here, you're going to have a superb opportunity where Renata Reeder, who works with Roxy, is going to do a panel with 3 prize-winning organizations that you'll all get to participate in. And a couple of you are going to actually do deep dives with individual organizations to help boost their plan for this year's giving challenge. But so what TPF does since 2012, every year our match has changed a tiny bit as we have learned what works and what doesn't work as we're trying to foster wide participation. So for the last couple of giving challenges, we've simplified, and we say every donation between $25 and $100 that a donor gives to an organization, they got to be a unique donor per organization, will match it 100%, 1-to-1. So think about it. If there's 700 organizations and somebody donated $100 to every one of those 700, we would match it dollar for dollar. And you'll see bullet number 2, there is no limit to how many individual contributions can be made to different organizations. And last 2020, I asked the team at Community Foundation, so what was there a donor who did the most different unique donations to organizations? There was actually one donor who gave $100 to 62 different organizations. And that's that potato chip thing. You're watching the leaderboard, and to Roxy's point about the families, it was fun to hear the stories about how they'd watch the kids would watch their organizations, how they moved up and down the leaderboard. So the board of the Patterson Foundation, let me be very clear, it's a risk because we do not put a cap, but we believe that power shift to donors, the power shift to organizations to build those unrestricted funds is well worth the effort. So Roxy, you talked a little bit about the prizes before, and I shared that everybody who's in the class is going to get to learn about how some of the best prize winning organizations give. But do you have any other thoughts on just the big, why do you do prizes? The big, why do you do prizes?
Well, again, it's and prizes are really 2 ways for a nonprofit to encourage them to participate. And we have a group of prizes, and there's a Giving Challenge 2020 website, and they're all listed there. But we have a group of prizes that everybody's eligible for. So the first 50 to get 50 donors get $500, and we'll do some random shout outs each hour for a Facebook post or using the hashtag or tweeting. So we've got a fair amount that anybody can is able to win, if you will. And we've got prizes to encourage people getting their profiles up to date as well. The first 40 or 50 get, I think, 500. So we're randomly drawn. So we've got some fun ways that we really are encouraging boosting giving in the early hours of the challenge. And then we have the best video, best picture, best partnership, best turnaround campaign. Somebody that, you know, didn't really put much into it, and with gusto, they really turned it around. So we want to encourage that as well. So we nonprofits look for the opportunities, and we only let them apply for 3. Sometimes we had people applying for all of them, and we're like, So they can apply for 3 of them and make an application, but only 3. And we just said, you know, be thoughtful on where you think you can have an opportunity potentially win this prize, and they're $4,000 or $5,000. So they're significant, the amount of money that you can get for that. So it's, again, to encourage some of the behaviors, if you will, from partnership to using social media to best videos are really fun with this, and how people have a good time with that. So, and some do events with this, online events. Pre-COVID, people would do some in-person events, restaurants, or people had parties or screenings and all kinds of fun things. So it's really been, again, prizes are structured to encourage and motivate certain ways to enhance the challenge.
Well, let's just go now and kind of the recap department. So a refresher for everybody about what's the benefit for an organization in participating in the Giving Challenge. So Roxy, this is the Community Foundation. You're the one who puts the big labor into this. So what is the benefit to the nonprofits?
Oh, clear, as we have been saying, raising unrestricted funds. How do I attract new supporters and engage my current supporters as well? How do I truly enhance and build those digital skills to go beyond the Giving Challenge? And we've really worked with them on what are the results of your programs? What are you achieving to advance this community in some way by what your mission is? And really working to try to articulate, make a compelling case on why someone should invest in you, and use the Giving Partner as that platform to really sell your organization about the results that you're achieving. So that is why, for us, this is a way to really, why should somebody care about our mission and what we do? And it's a way to tell your story, both holistically as well as the importance of storytelling, as we know.
And the success drivers, this is just reinforcing what Roxy said. What's your strategy? Get a plan, and how do you execute it? And it's discipline combined with imagination that just makes it an incredible opportunity for donors, nonprofits, and our community in general. So 2022 Giving Challenge is going to be on April 26, 27. The study away with Sarasota, you're going to be arriving and learning right in the midst of the planning. So we look forward to working with you and hope you learn a lot about how to foster wide participation in inspiring philanthropy. So Roxy, do you have any wrap-up comments you'd like to make?
Well, one stat, the dollars are great, but we had 106,000 gifts in the last challenge, and the previous high we'd had was like 74,000. So that tells you too, and it was over 60, 70,000 unique donors. So that's the population of our county, of our city. So I just share that because those numbers to me just show people, they wanted to be part of something bigger, but yet they realized they themselves could make a difference, but collectively, wow. So that's the pieces of this that to us is so inspiring. And those are the results that we look at to go, was it worth it? Yeah. And Deborah and I both know when the final countdown comes, we don't know what it's going to look
We don't
like.
know.
So we're kind of like,
We hope, and it's all in the hands of the community. It's in the hands of the community. So we hope you learn a lot in your course. We look forward to you learning with us when you are engaged in the study away time. So do well. And can you tell that Roxy and I really like what we get a chance to do to make the world a better place? I hope you also share that enthusiasm for your studies. So we're going to sign off and say bye-bye.